John Marshall is the lone defensive captain, but I'm sure he's relying on other seniors to help him in that endeavor. Can you talk about what the responsibility you feel as a senior to be a leader on that side of the ball?
Yeah, for sure. John's obviously our captain, and he's the guy we all look up to kind of make things happen on defense as far as like the leadership goes. But as seniors, our job is to support John and also lead as far as knowing what we do, helping our positions, like me helping the Raiders and the strikers be in the right spots too, and just leading with the effort and the intensity at practice. So John's that leader for sure, but it's our job to also support that and accompany John and be that vision, that the underclassmen can look up to.
John mentioned at the media day press conference, he called this the no-name defense. I guess he was referring to the fact that Diego and Michael McMorris were both, highly thought of around the league, and both obviously got opportunities in the NFL. Can you kind of maybe weigh in on that? Do you believe that terminology?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Obviously Diego's gone, Mikey's gone. A lot of our big name guys are gone, and this defense has, something to prove for next year. We got a lot of young guys who are coming back, and a lot of talent still. And so that whole, no-name defense mantra gives us that edge. That you got to prove it, you got to earn it every single day. You can't just go in saying, we have X and Y stars. Like we have to go earn it and prove it. And so I like it. I mean, John used that before, and Coach Newberry used that before. I like that terminology. I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of adds that grittiness to our defense, like a lot of young guys, a lot of new guys who played some last year and now are coming back for their next season. They're more comfortable too. So yeah, that whole no-name defense thing, I like it a lot. I think it fits us for sure.
Let's go to Scott Wyckoff.
Hey, Nick, Scott Wyckoff, the WBAL radio in Baltimore and also the Navy Football Radio Network. I know Coach Newberry and also Coach Niumatalolo talk about creating confusion is one of the most important things that this defense does. With so many returning players that have really been able to grasp the concept of the defense, does it add to the more confusion that you guys can create?
Yeah, exactly. A big point of our defense is that if they can have no clue, which side we're blitzing from, what coverage we're in, that makes the quarterback it slows him down, it slows the offense down, it slows their offensive coordinator down. And having the guys returning from last year who've already played in that defense and already kind of know where we're going with this install helps a lot because they can, grasp it quicker and kind of get on board a lot faster. And so it helps. So we can add those more tougher disguises and be more savvy with what we're trying to do.
And does Coach Newberry have a good sense about you guys? Because I know he likes to push the envelope, but sometimes you have to know how far you can push it. How has that been?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, Coach is definitely pushing us every single day. That's what he brings is he tries to, make us our best by putting us in tough spots. Like he'll call plays in practice that he probably wouldn't call in the game because he wants to see what we can do and try and stress us and make us better players. And so I love that because it makes us have to work hard. So when game time comes around, it's like we've seen that before. We've been in that hard spot before, so that way we can go and execute. And the good thing about a lot of our teammates coming back from last season, a lot of our defense, a lot of those younger guys, is that Coach Newberry's been with them for a season. He knows what this defense can basically do pretty well. So he has a pretty good grasp on who we have, our personnel, and our younger guys and our older guys too. So that helps a lot.
Thanks, Nick.
For sure.
Phil Bergman.
Nick, what's Coach Caniglio been like as your position coach?
Yeah, Coach Caniglio's he's brought so much energy to the room. And I guess the biggest difference that he's brought is just this whole, understanding of the defense. Coach Newberry's been really pushing for us to be, he calls it 4-dimensional players. It's understanding not just your job, but the guys' jobs around you, the guys' job on the whole defense, and then completely why he's calling what he's calling. And so Coach Caniglio's been really pushing, for me, I just know, okay, I've got this drop on this play. He's like, where's the safety at? Where are the LBs dropping at? Why are we doing this? Why are we calling this stuff? And so kind of that understanding just helps you know, hey, my help's here, so I can do this if I get this route instead of just memorizing, I've got this drop on this play. So that's been huge. And it's been just really expanding my knowledge as a player. This is my senior year and I haven't been, pushed that way until now. So it's been awesome. And he's just every day just super intense, super energetic, and is really bringing that, passion to the room. And it's been great. I love it.
I think I asked you about this in the spring too, but what can we know just about the other people at the Raider position, including Sandlin and Sanders.
Yeah. So Max and Jordan are both stellar dudes and super athletic. And then, Jordan is as long as all get out and just they can both run for days. And so they bring that athleticism, that just length to the Raiders spot. And both of them are nose to the grindstone. Max knows his defense super well, knows the position super well, being here for 4 years now. Jordan knows it really well, going through spring ball too, and having been on the travel squad last year. So he's seen the defense. We've been, talking it through for a year now. And so those guys are ready to go, ready to play too. They're not just, next man up. Like, they are ready to go, like, from day one. They can go play.
Randy.
Thanks, Nick. Randy Cross, CBS Sports. Defense may not have a name, but thus far, and I know you don't go to full pads till tomorrow, but thus far, what kind of a personality would you typify this defense right now having?
Yeah, I would say just fierce or tenacious. This defense gets after it and has a lot of just spunk, will just be scrappy and just get after guys and just not afraid to really be that gritty defense and that hard nose, just hard hitting defense. And, they always say it's better to say whoa than sick 'em, which I think that's a big thing for our defense this year in practice, especially. I mean, we get after guys for sure. And so I'm excited for that. And just the attitude of this defense is just like getting after it and intense and just hard nosed. And yeah, I would say tenacious or fierce.
Well, you're playing in the American. You guys regularly, well, every week, you're going to see a very unique style of offense with some of the quarterbacks and the offensive minds at the various schools. But by the same token, every day in practice, you probably see the toughest offense to stop in the American. The one people hate to see the most.
Right.
In the option. Can you talk a little bit about the conference and just, your impressions from last year going through it and, these teams that you're going to be facing?
Yeah, I think the beauty and the difficulty of our conference is its difficulty is that there's never an easy week. There's never an off week unless you have a bye week, obviously. But like every single week you're playing somebody, there's always a challenge. Everyone's got some stud athlete from somewhere, someone who can go play in the league. I mean, there's so much talent every single week. So that makes us have to be at our best every single time. And so I've got the utmost respect for every single team in our conference. And I love the competition. I love, just what it takes to go and win. Like Coach Nima always says, it's hard to win, especially in our conference. It takes so much to win in our conference. And so it just adds that extra edge to practice and to preparation, to the weight room, and to even fueling in your nutrition. Like it all just kind of, it takes everything to win because winning is so tough. And you've got, Cincinnati and Houston and all these good teams that can go, and just ball, and well, who cares? We got to go beat them, So like, I love it. It's exciting.
Thank you.
Wags, 2 questions.
Nick, when I was out at practice the other day, I was looking at you and you seemed bigger to me. I don't know, did you add, it looked like muscle weight to me. Did you get bigger during the off season?
Yeah, definitely. I was a little small towards the end of last season, and kind of my goal for this season is to come in, bigger, and that helps a lot. So I can, run linemen back a lot easier, or play that run game, or be more sturdy. And, so that was my goal for the offseason. I've gotten bigger, and Coach Fitz, all the credit to Coach Fitz. I mean, he's got me right in just the lifts and the nutrition with Scott Marr and just everyone involved just has really got me in a good spot where week 1, I'll be ready to go. And just, I feel the best I felt in my 3 years of playing, of starting this far. And I feel stronger. I feel faster. I feel just more just confident. I just feel really good. And physically speaking, yeah, I'm bigger right now. I'm stronger, and just, it's going to show.
Well, and that's on that note, what do you feel like you need to do better from last year to become more of an impact player?
Yeah, I would say the thing that Coach Newberry's really hit on is that 4-dimensional play, is not just knowing what my job is, but knowing the jobs around me. And that way I can be able to make a play instead of just trying to say, okay, well, here's my job. I did my job. And Coach Knigley also hits on this too. Like, if you do your job right, but you're not tackling the ball, you're not doing your job. So he's been hitting on make the play every single play. And so that's been a huge transformation for me going into the spring ball. Like, yeah, my job is done, but the ball's over there. Like, why am I not tackling the ball over there? And so that's kind of been big for me, just to go, every play is my play to make. That aggression, that, intensity that Caniglio's brought to the room has been, every play is yours to make. Me or John has to make every single play on every single snap. And so that's been changing me, my mindset for spring ball and for fall camp, just that whenever the ball is snapped, I have to get it.
Scott Wyckoff.
Nick, this is the third class of plebes that you've seen come in after you got there. What are your impressions of how they've developed into the style of defense that Coach Newberry likes to play over these 3 years now?
Yeah, you can definitely see Coach Newberry's his desire kind of showing in the recruiting classes. They're becoming lankier and athletic, and you have a lot of guys who can play multiple positions, sort of deal, and just longer, and they can all run for days. And so this plebe class, I'm very excited about. I mean, they all, as far as in my room goes, like they're all mentally, they can grasp the tough concepts very well. They're coming along nicely. Athletically, they're running well, and they're playing fast. So yeah, you can definitely see his recruiting at play here, because a lot of the guys are kind of fitting that mold of that lankier, like this athletic build, and just smart players too.
Thanks, Nick.
For sure.
Phil Bergman.
Nick, Coach Giammattolo has talked a lot about how this camp seems to be kind of back to normal. Have you noticed this at all this year?
Yeah, because going from COVID, my youngster year, and then last year too, it was a little bit off. But this year it's similar to how it was my freshman year. We're, if you're out there on the far fields, which is how we did it freshman year, and just it's that same energy of it's long practices and just full days, like how we used to do it, and we're all together. There's no COVID worries. It's all just back to normal. It's been good. It's been good for the team and good for the guys. So it's been really nice to have.
And lastly, for me, Raider, striker, bandit, those are positions with cool names, but also ones that you don't see at a lot of other programs. For you, what's your favorite part about this Raider position?
Yeah, I would say just the versatility of it. You're that edge rusher, you're that run stopper, that force defender, as we say, but you're also that dropper, the flat defender. You're also dropping down the hash. So it requires so much of you to be able to both be physically big enough, and strong enough to go against the O-lineman and run them back, and savvy enough to pass rush, off the edge and beat them. Also, quick enough, athletic enough to go cover, slot backs and go be able to run with guys and be able to handle that. So I love it. It's a lot of fun, I think.
Thank you.
Randy Cross.
Hey, Nick. Hey, who would you say is your favorite offensive teammate?
Favorite offensive teammate? Oh my goodness. I would probably say Kip Franklin. Kip it's just tough to just not laugh whenever Kip's in a room. He just brightens it up. He's such a fun personality and a good guy to be around. And also as a tackle, I go against Kip a lot in practice. And so I always talk trash to Kip. I was talking trash yesterday actually about, him not being able to block me or anything. And just, it's so much fun to go against Kip, and he's a great guy and a great leader for the offense. And I respect him so much, but also want to beat him every day. So it's great.
Whether it's 4D or 3D or whatever your kind of chess you're playing, how important is the other side, the opponent, and the offense you're facing, and knowing them as well as possible?
Yeah, the way I think about it is that if you can know the offense, then that makes you play a lot faster. If you can kind of see them and their formations, then you can play, because it eliminates half the playbook in your head. You say, okay, well, they're lined up like this, or their backs here and their tight ends here. I know what play is coming, so I can adjust my alignment and just kind of see it faster instead of having to read, I guess, per se, and then say, oh, I get this now. You can know what's going to happen and anticipate that and just go and get off the ball and make a play. And so that's so big, just watching film and studying that and the scouting reports, and just listening to what Coach Newberry says and Coach Caniglio says about the other team. And just that's so big for any team, just to be able to know your opponent and know what they want to do, on down and distance stuff. That's huge.
Thank you.
Wags, you got 3 questions.
How much are you looking forward to going into pads tomorrow?
Ever since PU football, it's always been the best day. The first day of pads is always, like the first real day of football, in my opinion, because you start off with, just those little pooch pads, the spider pads, and the jersey. You don't really hit very much. Then you're in shells, which is, helmet and shoulder pads. You start getting a little more pop to you. But until you're actually tackling guys, you don't really see, I guess, the measure of a player. And so now tomorrow, going out there, we have to go through today first, obviously, but tomorrow I'm really excited for it. It's going to be, full contact, full pads, and that's always the most exciting day in my opinion.
I was going to ask you, I mean, not based off of this camp so far, but maybe off of spring, who's someone that maybe no Navy football fan has ever heard of, a defender who is going to show up this season?
Yeah, I think the guy next to me, Creedon Folger, who's going to be playing behind Craig Cromwell, and he, no one probably knows his name right now, but he's going to be a guy who can really just come off the ball and just do his job well and make some disruptive plays. I'm really excited for him. He's really, in the spring, he came along really strong, and he's doing well right now in the fall too. And so he's a guy that most fans wouldn't know about because he didn't really play last year at all, but will be able to come in this year and really make an impact on the defense and kind of, give Clay a breather and make some plays as well.
Tomorrow being the first day of pads, is it sort of perfect timing? Because this long into training camp, you're starting to get really irritable in general. And isn't that perfect timing for the coaches? Because, I mean, you had a couple dust ups the other day, but that number should probably double being in full pads and all the contact.
Right. Yeah, definitely. You start getting into camp and, that does happen a bit. Yeah. So I guess like a little frustration, just, release. I mean, that's the beauty of football. You get to hit guys and no one gets mad at you for it, so you can go full speed and knock someone over and it's allowed. So, I mean, definitely with, tensions and trash talking from the offense, like you want to go strong. So tomorrow, I mean, definitely plan on hitting some of those guys pretty hard just to remind them, who we are on defense.
John was named captain, the defensive captain, John Marshall. Why do you think that the team voted for him? Because he doesn't come across as the most vocal guy, but yet Coach Niemann said that he's been more vocal than ever since he was named captain. But just kind of tell me, why do you think they voted for John, and do you think John will be a good captain?
I do. I certainly do think he'll be a good captain. I think his teammates voted for him because of the way that the way he carries himself and the work that he's put in since the time that he's been here. I think, from this point last year, maybe he's one of our most improved players. I think the guys just have a lot of respect for him. He's not a, some guys lead more, but they do. And some guys talk a lot. He doesn't talk a ton, but he talks enough. And when he speaks, guys listen. But I think, and he's just been a solid, steady guy for us his whole career here. And he was a guy that was on scout team his freshman year, and he's paid his dues and kind of come up the hard way, so to speak. And I think the guys, they'll have a lot of respect for that. And he's a guy that comes to work every day and is a great example to the rest of the players.
One thing that Marshall said at the media day press conference was that this is a no-name defense. I guess he was kind of referring to the fact that Diego and Michael McMorris were, guys well known around the country and the league. And obviously they both got an NFL opportunity, but do you agree with that? And I mean, do you think there'll be some guys with some names by the end of the season?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I think anytime you play well on defense, there's always certain names to get some recognition, maybe more so than others. But I kind of like the fact that, and I agree with him. There's no Diego Fagos or Mikey McMorris that are preseason all-conference type players, and it doesn't mean certainly that we're not going to have some at the end of the year. And I think we will. But we've got a lot of good players. But we've also, I think the thing about us right now is we're just a bunch of guys that are a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, that are unselfish, but that care more about winning than we do about any of the individual accolades. And so it's a great group to be around. Guys care a lot about each other, and they play for each other, and that's the way it should be here at the Academy.
Scott Wyckoff, 2 questions.
Hey, Coach. Scott Wyckoff from WBAL Radio in Baltimore. What does it mean to you this season to have guys out there on the field in all the positions that you've had a part of bringing to the Naval Academy and that have been here for what you've brought as a part of this defense?
Well, I think it's kind of good to look out there and see our bodies start to change a little bit. You look at certain positions where we felt like we needed to recruit more length and things like that. That's starting to show up, more athleticism at certain positions. when you install a defense, you have no idea what you want it to look like. But the players don't always necessarily fit that mold, so you have to adjust and improvise a little bit. And I think at this point we're kind of getting to be in a place where we can do the things that I really want to do with our personnel. And that's always a constant challenge. You always have to reevaluate that. But we look different now than we did when I first got here. I think this is maybe the most athletic team defensively that we'll put on the field since I've been here in 19.
Is that helping you push the envelope as much as coach wants you to with this group?
Yeah, I'd say so. And we're still working through that and what all we're going to be able to do and handle. But I like this team. We've got a lot of guys coming back that played a lot of meaningful snaps last year, and that's always very helpful. We've had a great off season. Fitz and the strength and conditioning staff have done a great job with our guys, and so seen a lot of progress from the end of the last season to now with our speed and our strength and the size of a lot of our players. So we're pleased with where we're at right now. A long way to go, but we're heading in the right direction for sure.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Randy Cross.
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Hey, Randy. Good. How are you?
I'm doing
You in Hawaii?
fantastic. What's that?
So are you in Hawaii?
I'm in Annapolis. Just
Annapolis.
gotta wear different shirts just to make you feel like you're in Hawaii.
I like it.
Hey, what is the first day in full pads mean to you?
It doesn't mean much different than when we were in shells, truthfully. We'll probably only go truly live maybe 2 or 3 times during camp, and coach always adjusts that based on what he feels like we need. But say we went in shells. Was it Friday? And we got after it. I mean, it was about as physical practice as you can possibly have, being in shells. But it's always good to put on the pads, and we talk about being a tough physical group, and we'll be the toughest team in the country, and so. It's always a point of emphasis when we do strap it on. And so it's exciting to see and hear those pads popping. And I thought we've had 2 really, really extremely physical practices and been able to keep everybody healthy. And so that's good.
Now, one of the interesting things of watching practice the other day is you have a very diverse staff, especially when it comes to correction. You tend to be, at least my observation, of more of a calm corrector than anything else. Yeah, sometimes. But who would you credit for that? Who in your background, or is that just part of your personality, or is that just where does that come from?
Yeah, I think when I was a player, I responded more to guys that were a little more laid back in that regard, and I always appreciated getting coached hard. And we talk about coaching mistakes, and then there's mistakes, and Randy, and then there's repetitive mistakes. You know what I mean? And then I think we're all, when it comes to effort, that's a non-negotiable. We're going to coach that really hard, but we want these guys to make mistakes, right? That's how they grow and get better, and so that's okay. We just want to make sure we're making them full speed. It's the effort piece of things, and then unnecessary repetitive mistakes is when we can all get maybe not quite as laid back in our corrections. But yeah, I've always just tried to be who I am and coach with them my personality and try to understand that everybody responds differently to coaching, and all these kids are different, and you can't treat everybody exactly the same because different players react differently to different styles of coaching, and we have to be aware of that too.
All right, great, thank you.
Sure.
Phil Bergman.
Coach, what does it mean to be a 4-dimensional player? What are you looking for with that?
Sure. Well, I think the thing that that we talked about in our unit meeting to start off the year is our situational awareness. The past couple of years has not been very good. For example, the difference between 3rd and medium and 3rd and short and 3rd long would be just a small example of that. So the one great thing about me not coaching a position right now is that I've got time to spend. We meet as a unit every night and we go through some kind of situation, some kind of scenario, so our players understand when they get in those situations kind of what to expect, what the offense is thinking. And that's the 4th dimension, understanding what the offense is trying to do and understanding those situations. The 1st dimension being knowing what you do, the 2nd knowing what's going on around you, the 3rd understanding the entirety of the defense. And so I think we had a lot of 1 and 2 dimensional players last year, a handful of 3s, but not many fours. And that's entirely on me. I've not done a great job emphasizing that. It's something that we're going to be much better at moving forward.
We got done talking with Nick Straw before you. What have you seen out of him this year? And even though he's not a captain, what type of leader is he?
I think he's outstanding. I think the guys look at him like he is a captain, and for the same reasons that they look at John Marshall the way that they do. I don't think we've got a player on our team that has a better work ethic, has a better attitude, and that's as tough as Nick Straw. He just does a phenomenal job, and players respond and listen to him.
Thank you.
I know Pete said he's good. Joe Miller.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I wanted to ask, I know every coaching staff sort of looks and evaluates in the offseason, tries to figure out what we need to do better. Are there any sort of one or two things that really pop up to your mind immediately or numbers or things that you say we have to do better, and that's something that you emphasize this offseason?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of things, but off the top of my head, a couple things that really stood out was we weren't very efficient on first down. We want to give up 3 or less yards on first down, 65% of the time. And we didn't do that. And then the other thing is we weren't very good in third and medium. And that goes back to the situational awareness. Our guys understanding, what the offense is trying to do, where they're trying to get to, and understand what I'm going to call in those situations. And understand there's a direct correlation to how good you are on 1st and 10 and how good you are on third downs. Obviously, the better you are on those early downs, the more times you're going to get people in third and long, and the better your chances are of getting off the field, obviously. But we've got to be more disruptive in the early downs, and that's something that's been a big focus for us this offseason. And you look back at 19, we were really disruptive, and we got people in third and long a lot more often. So that was, and we were better on third down, just looking at a win percentage. But that was primarily the reason, because of the situations that we got people into. So we got to be better on first down, and our situational awareness on third down has got to become much better.
And I know last year you guys played a lot of younger players, and you look at that and that reflects on the depth chart. And I know the depth chart can change a little bit, but one guy that's right there on the top right now that we haven't seen play is Matthew Peters. And I know he switched positions and came in as a quarterback, but what have you seen from him that excites you, and what are your expectations from not only him but the cornerback position this year?
Yeah, well, his length and ability is what excites me, and I think he showed some promise in the spring of having a chance to be a really good player. He's still young at corner, like you said, changing positions from quarterback, so he's still learning. He's still got a long ways to go, but he's got all the tools that we want at that position. So that's exciting for us, but I think he's just got to keep getting better, but I'm excited about him and his future here. And I think we've got a lot of talent at corner, but a lot of young guys, and so just we need as many reps as we can possibly get between now and the time we play Delaware. And so just the daily improvement from those guys, and the younger ones especially understanding our defense and knowing where their help is, and all those kind of things.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Let's go back around. Wags, 2 questions.
Hey, Coach, Coach Niumatalolo has said several times when I've interviewed him here in the preseason about getting off to a better start. Obviously, nobody was happy about what happened against BYU or Marshall. That's no way to start a season. Can you, from a defensive standpoint, can you weigh in on that? And I know it was a team-wide failing in those 2 games, but Navy gave up a lot of points in those games.
Yeah, we sure did. It's been a huge point of emphasis for us. And I think that the way we practice in spring and nature of some of the things that we're seeing against our offense and some of the things they're doing to help us was going to allow us to get off to a faster start. Typically, even when I was at Kennesaw State, we kind of started slow sometimes on defense because we spent a lot of the preseason camp defending the option. And so while we have to be able to do that, and we do that during practice, we got to get our base defense ready and get greased up in the things that we do. And I thought we got off to a slow start. And we learned early in the season some things that we should probably learn during camp, with our older guys. And so we're getting a ton of reps, the things that we're going to do, that we're going to do the first game of the year. And I think we're getting better at them. But we certainly recognize that, and our players know that we have to get off to a better start. And certainly that's something we talk about a lot as a staff.
I know it's early, but is there anybody who's caught your eye that maybe, wasn't somebody who played a lot last year, and maybe even in the spring, they showed you a little bit, but here in the fall, they've come back, they look a lot better. They look like they know what they're doing. Anyone that kind of fits that bill as you think about it?
Not really. I think everybody's kind of picked off right where we left off in spring. I think, Will Harbor didn't get to get a lot of live reps in spring, but he looks really good, and really, really pleased with him. He'd be one guy that's kind of stood out to me so far during camp. And I think just in general, I think that the off season has been awesome for us. I think we've had a really good summer, and we've got a lot of guys that are moving a little bit better and look a lot different than they did at this point last year for sure. And then there's handful of freshmen that are showing a lot of promise. It's hard here to play as a freshman, as you know, but there's certainly some guys that are catching our attention. I'm excited about the freshman class.
Scott Wyckoff,
I'm good, Coach. Thanks.
Randy Cross.
Hey, Coach, if you had to think of one player for a term, it's whether it was versatility or Swiss Army knife or whatnot, of all your guys on the defensive side, who would fit that the best? Who has the most, tools, to use a baseball version of the same thing? But who sticks out to you in that regard?
We've got a few guys that do. I think, just looking at from an athletic ability standpoint, I think Ray Lane can do a lot of different things. He's athletic enough, he could probably go play corner. We'll use him as our adjuster when we get the nickel and dime stuff, and he's got to be able to do a lot of different things. We can bring him. He's a really good blitzer, so he's that guy that you can kind of move around a lot, and he's smart enough to do it all too. So I'd say that he's the first guy that comes to my mind when you ask that question.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Phil Bergman.
Coach, how do you like the adjustment going from coaching position to now being in charge of just the whole defense?
I love it. As much as I hate having a room and coaching a position, it frees me up to do a lot of things that just simply didn't have maybe enough time to do before. For example, these unit meetings that we have at night, being able to run those and prepare for them the way you'd like to. When you run a position group, and you've got to spend a good amount of time, preparing for those meetings and things like that. And so that preparation and the actual meeting time itself is time that I can spend working on some other things that may help us. And so it's been really good. As much as like I said, I miss coaching a position and having a group. I think it's the best thing for us on defense.
And on Saturday, Coach Niumatalolo was talking about how you love to watch tape, study other teams. This past year, was there any coach or team or program that you've been analyzing all summer?
Yeah, we always watch a lot of guys in the off season. And there were probably 4 or 5 that we really got kind of dialed into, or I did myself, and always trying to steal some good ideas and some stuff from other people, or see how people are teaching certain things. And so that's something we always do. But there's nobody in particular that I would mention there, Phil, but just it's a lot of people.
Joe Miller.
Yeah, Coach, I just wanted to ask you about another player. Justin Reed last year, he didn't play a ton, probably, less than 50 snaps or so for you guys, but I thought he really flashed when he was out there and made some key contributions. What does he have to do to get more consistent playing time? And do you see him as a guy that you're looking for to kind of take that next step this season?
Yeah, I expect him to get a lot of playing time this year. He's had a really good, had a good spring and a good off season, good summer. Looks good. He's moving really well. He's one of our more athletic defensive linemen. So you feel really good about the defensive end position, Busick and him there. And you feel like you can put either one of those guys in the game and you can win with both of those guys. So that's exciting. And they're both really athletic. And Justin Reed plays really hard, and he can run. And he's just going to continue to get better and better.
Thanks, Coach.
Wags, you got 3 questions.
Well, wanted to ask you about a few guys. When I was out at practice the other day, I saw that Will Harbor was wearing number 54, which kind of surprised me. I don't know if he got Diego's blessing on that, but how do you talk to him about not trying to be Diego Fagot? Will Harbor can't try to step in and be Diego Fagot.
Yeah. Well, I don't need to have that conversation with Will Harbor. It's not somebody he's trying to be like. Will Harbor is Will Harbor, and I don't think anybody around here thinks that he's trying to be somebody that he's not. And so I don't know why he switched. I just noticed that the other day myself. Wags. I don't know if that was his high school number or something like that, but if anybody would wear that number on our team, he could be the one because he'll certainly represent it well.
How is Clay Cromwell adjusting to playing defensive tackle?
Really well. He's been a little bit banged up, so we've kind of managed his reps. So we hadn't really got any live work with him just yet. He's going to be fine. I expect him to get those reps here in the next couple of days. But another guy that had a really good spring, good off season, and so excited about him. He's picked it up well.
And Ray Lane, he's a guy that obviously has a lot of talent. And last year he gained a lot of experience on the job. Do you think Ray Lane could be, even just as a sophomore, a real impact player for this defense?
Certainly has the ability to. I'm hoping that he will be. And like a lot of the young guys, he's played meaningful snaps for us, but he's still learning. And, he's one of those guys that we feel like you just get a little bit better every day. And his football knowledge has grown tremendously from having played those meaningful snaps during the season, having gone through a full spring. So I like where he's at. I think he's got to continually get better, just like the rest of these young players. But yeah, he certainly has the ability to be an impact player. No question about
it. Scott Wyckoff.
Yeah, Coach, what's the toughest thing for the freshmen as they come into your defense in these fall practices?
Learning it. I think the adjustment to what it means to play hard. A lot of these guys play both ways on special teams in high school, and so you can kind of, ball doesn't come to you, kind of take a play off here and there, but that doesn't happen at our level, and especially here. And so just getting used to the culture and what the standard is here, and then the mental piece of it. There's not like other places when you get there in the beginning of June and you're sitting in a ton of meetings and you're going out and doing 7-on-7s. My guys get here and they're going into the play summer, and so we don't put a lot on their plate, mentally with the playbook and that kind of stuff before then. So they're kind of drinking from a fire hose right now. And I think things will start to slow down for them a little bit, but it's tough early. And, we tell those guys all the time, don't count your reps, make your reps count. And if you make a mistake, hey, that's fine. Just make it 100 miles an hour and we'll coach you on the fly, so that's the hardest part for those guys.
You talk Biscuit is a guy who's, it's hard to believe he's going to be a junior. It seems like he's been around forever and he's played a lot of snaps. What do you see him really emerging? I know he's never going to be big, but he's not like he was as a freshman, where he's probably gotten stronger, hasn't he?
He has. I told him the other day, we were walking the locker room and I saw a vein in his bicep. I hadn't seen that since he's been here. So his body by Fitzpatrick right there. But he looks better. He's moving better. I think the biggest thing with him, he understands what's going on around him now. Biscuit was one of those guys, especially as a freshman, and most of his sophomore year was kind of a one-dimensional player in regards to just knowing what his job was and really not fully understanding what was going on around him. But he's gotten way better at that. And, I've been real pleased with how he played in the spring and the first few practices this year. I think he's really good and custom made for kind of what we do on defense as far as the movement and those kind of things. And so fired up about Biscuit. Glad we've got 2 more years with him.
And the other inside linebacker position, would you say that's a good battle? A lot of different guys played there. I think Ramos finished the season as a starter. He's listed number 1 on the depth chart, but I would imagine he hasn't locked it up.
No, that's the great thing about Mike and Will right now. There's a battle for those 2 spots. We've got some really, really good depth there. I think you're talking about Will linebacker with Fletch and Ramos over there, and battling it out right now. And they both had great summers. Ramos finished up the year playing as well as anybody we had on defense, and had a great spring. And look at Fletch, he's 225 pounds. He's changed his body, playing extremely hard, understands the defense much better than he did even in spring. And so he's put in a ton of work and is starting to really show up on the field.
And last for me, what about safety depth? Obviously, Ray Lane and Evan Gibbons got plenty of time last season after the injuries to Mitch and Kevin. But what about behind them? I mean, do you feel good about the depth at safety?
Yeah, we've got some guys. We're in the process of developing and evaluating. We get Derek Outwater's back. I'm excited about that. He's been out for a long time. He got played meaningful snaps for us, 2 years ago. We do, and we're Coach Crawford and I. We're evaluating those guys every day. And they're making progress, but we got to get a steady, 5, 6 guys back there that we feel like we can win with and play with, and we're in the process of sorting through that right now.